Have you ever wanted to be able to build an exclusive marriage that lasts? As I stated in the previous videos, in order for me to provide something balanced, I felt I needed to be able to address everyone. For anything to do with women, I have consulted my wife to ensure any ideas are good ones. In this video, we will look at 5 areas: good communication, building a household culture, friendship groups, invest in the marriage, deal with difficulty as a team. Good communication. Listening is a fundamental piece of good communication. Some people can be used to being really talkative, others very quiet. Consider what you are like versus your spouse. If you both really like to talk, you might not hear each other and find yourselves talking over each other. Some ideas for this could be: take an object. The person who holds the object in their hand speaks. The other listens. Agree to a limit of number of points made, e.g. 3, then hand over the object to the other person. Then you can go back and forth until you are just able to do it, so you don't need the object anymore. Maybe one of you is talkative and the other person is quiet. This could mean one person is listened to very well and the other person may feel ignored. If you find yourself as the more talkative one, then try to prioritise finding out about them first, so you encourage dialogue. If you're the person who is more quiet, then you must let the other person know you need to talk about things and that you need them to listen. If both people are fairly quiet, then it can feel easier to let many things go unsaid until there is a massive build-up of issues because neither spouse is speaking about them. A little at a time, far easier to process than a massive issue when everyone is already wound up and frustrated. Another element of listening is to do with focus. Many times communication happening whilst doing other things is fine. Sometimes though, undivided attention is important, particularly if it is something that is important to your spouse. Context is really important to good communication. Who, what, when, where, why and how. Misunderstanding can have us doing the wrong thing, understanding things the wrong way. Ask each other context questions, particularly if something sounds bad or hurtful. Using phrases like, "it sounds like you're saying, is that what you mean?" are really good phrases for checking you are not just about to step into an argument on something that was not needed. Pointing out the good, being constructive on the bad is all part of figuring things out. If something needs to change but your spouse only knows something they did was bad or hurtful but doesn't know how to change something, then all you do is give them various negative emotions with frustration. Encourage the change you want to see. Ensure that change is clear. Create an environment that allows you both to be open and honest with each other. What communication boundaries would you like in place that would make you feel like you could be both open and honest with your spouse? What things make you feel like you cannot do that? Discuss these things with each other. Some people, when you say good communication, they could probably think of 50 things that would entail. For other people, they don't know what it is. In the previous 2 videos, we have looked at having a good filter for finding a spouse and another on creating a shared vision by building upon the principles in those video elements. There are already helpers for good communication from them. There are lots of areas with good communication like body language, open closed gestures, something that looks welcoming versus defensive, etc. Another could be to do with tone of voice. You may not notice your tone of voice. You might be someone who reads too much into tone of voice. This is where communicating with your spouse about how you see them, particularly the good things, showing you care about them in your communication, will help build trust between you so you can be kind to each other in these things. One final methodology for communicating is letter writing. This can be a process if you are struggling to listen to each other. Give each other space to process the letter and then agree to talk about it together after you have agreed upon processing time. A letter should contain things that are good, something that needs changing, how it can be done differently, how you feel about something, and also future hopes you want to share with your spouse can be useful things to communicate. A person always puts greater weight on the negative. Remember, there is no tone with writing, so ensure you describe your tone, particularly if you're being playful, so it is not misunderstood. Keep any negatives to one main thing. If you have a letter with only negative things, then it will be crushing. It is also good to try to remember good things about your spouse so you don't over-focus on the negative to the point of forgetting about their good points. Building a household culture. If you want children, what example of a loving marriage would you want them to see? If you are not wanting children, then imagine you have a cake that represents a strong, satisfying marriage that works in the good times and the bad. What would the ingredients of that cake be? If I were to formalize this in a hypothetical example, it could look like we are the Smiths. We serve one another. When we argue, we never use the word divorce, nor weaponize insecurities, nor mock the other person. We celebrate each other's achievements together. We have a weekly date night. We take an interest in each other's interests. We have a day each week when we don't talk about issues unless there is an emergency. We do finances this particular way. We do not talk about marriage issues on social media. We only talk to others when we agree we need help from trusted friends. We stick to our agreed marriage boundaries. We forgive each other and live consistently with saying sorry and don't hold past wrongs against each other. We set the example we want for our children to follow. We have time alone, time with each other, time with friends as a couple, and alone time with friends. Different people have different things that are important. It doesn't matter if you and your spouse are from culturally similar or culturally different backgrounds. Build a culture together. What does the best marriage system and situation you can work towards look like? Also, if you have built a shared vision before you got married, and there are things in it that in theory were great, but in practice they don't work as well as you both thought, update things. Revisit some of the categories in the Creating a Shared Vision video to help give you ideas for building the culture in your home. There are different ways to build culture in a marriage. Good ways will lead to trust, intimacy, feeling together with things, openness and honesty. Bad ways will lead to distrust, brokenness, hurt, growing independence from one another, and loss of communication. If two people in a bad marital situation are willing to work at a marriage, they can make it. They might need different types of help, but they will get there if they both want to do whatever work needed to fix it and for their marriage to become great. Friendship groups. Choose your friends wisely. Friends who are in good long-term marriages are worth having in your life. One other criteria is to ensure they want good for both you and your spouse. Getting advice from someone who doesn't like your spouse will not be beneficial for your marriage. Keeping a pretending to be single option on the side is also not good for your marriage. Let's say you have an ex rotation that when things are tough you can talk to and then have as a backup plan if the marriage is going wrong. You will end up building a closeness with the ex instead of your spouse because you would end up talking to them about the things you should be talking to your spouse about. This is a route towards betraying your spouse. Make sure your friendship group is helpful to having a long-term marriage. Going out with loads of single friends who are looking for casual partners without your spouse could make you look available for the same type of thing. If you add alcohol into that mix, it could lead to marriage-destroying situations. Make sure you both have agreement on who you want in each other's lives. An easy rule is if you wouldn't be comfortable with your spouse doing it, you don't do it. What social circle can my spouse thrive in and I be comfortable with? Always desire good for your spouse, encouraging the best in them because it will bring out their beauty to you. Invest in the marriage. It's important with a marriage that you both make time for each other, serve each other, and actually show love to the other person, how they most appreciate being loved. People will often make a best effort before getting married and then take things for granted in marriage. Don't do that. Instead, see it as like a long burning fire that you keep adding fuel to. Get to know the other person so that one day you would have earned the equivalent of your PhD in knowing them well. Make time to have fun with each other, solve difficulty as a team. Prioritize building your marriage. There will always be competing interests. Maybe your single friends want to go clubbing. Maybe you have family that wants you to be involved in something. If you take your spouse for granted and then you can just catch up with them another time as a repeated pattern, then over time it could build resentment, dampen the passion that was there as well. As part of a healthy marriage, be attractive to the other person. Do they like it when you wear something or don't wear something? Do they respond well to some phrases and are weirded out by others? When you arrange things with your spouse, ensure that time you make unavailable in your diary for anything else. Get them gifts, give them compliments, serve them, spend time with them, physical intimacy, make efforts for each other. If one person is more visual and likes dressing up, and the other person likes storytelling and scented things, then invest in your marriage making efforts with things. Don't assume passively that you will get to stuff at some point. Instead, make the time for these things. At this point, guys, when you get married, don't lose your game. Keep pursuing your wife with better quality time. You'll be glad you made the effort in the long run. Sometimes turning off the TV and choosing to flirt with your wife could very quickly become a far better decision. Just saying. For you ladies, keep trying to catch your husband's attention. You know what caught his attention with different things you wore before you got married. Make sure you have the outfits to draw his gaze. Tell him the things you love about him. Deal with difficulty as a team. See problems as something you solve together. If you see each other as opponents looking to come away winning, even if one of you feels like you've won, you've both lost, because now you have the company of a miserable spouse instead of a happy one who you are enjoying time with. In life, show each other understanding. Your spouse will have a different perspective, even if they agree with you on many things. They will have different interests. Don't think of your spouse as a project to change into what you want. They are who they are. Minor behaviors people can change. People cannot fundamentally change who they are. No one likes someone trying to change them, particularly a favorite hobby or interest. Trying to stop your spouse from harmless fun will only build resentment. This is different to being unhappy about replacing agreed time together with an interest or hobby. I have a great marriage. I love my wife. She's awesome. Whoever finds a good spouse finds something good. As I look to invest in my marriage, I hope you can have a good marriage. Birds of a feather, we grow together.